day and welcome to the African News, a broadcast from Canada. My name is Sandra. Asante. Top stories. More condemnation as Ethiopia expels UN staffs. The UN has expressed its shock at the expulsion of 7 of its senior officials by the Ethiopian government. Ethiopia finally expels 7 UN officials. This and more stories coming up after the break. Stay tuned. You're welcome back from the break to our first story. The US and the UK are the latest nations to condemn Ethiopia's decision to expel 7 senior United Nations officials amid growing international condemnation. Ethiopia accuses UN of meddling in the country's internal affairs, which the UN denies. Washington has said it condemns in the strongest possible terms as the expulsion of the UN officials, who include the heads of the UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, the UNOCHA, and the head of the UN Children's Fund, UNICEF, in Ethiopia. The UK government has also called for the decision to be reversed with immediate effect, but Ethiopian authorities have not provided details to support their claims of meddling. But the expulsion came after the UN aid chief Martin Griffiths raised concerns about a de facto blockade of aid to the war-torn region of Tigray. Thousands of people have been killed and more than 2 million have fled their homes since Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed ordered a military offensive against the regional forces in the Tigray in November 2020. Still on the expel of the UN officials, and the UN has expressed its shock at the expulsion of 7 of its senior officials by the Ethiopian government. Secretary General Antonio Guterres said it was engaging with the Ethiopian government in the expectation that affected staff could continue their important work. Ethiopia early declared the 7 persona non grata and said they had 72 hours to have to leave the country. The UN has raised concerns in recent weeks about a de facto blockade of aid to the war-torn region of Tigray. UN aid chief Martin Griffiths earlier this week said he assumes there was a famine in Tigray and urged the Ethiopian government to get those trucks moving. Ethiopia's UN mission in New York said claims of the blockade were bizarre. Thousands of people have been killed and more than 2 million have fled their homes since Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed ordered a military offensive against the regional forces in Tigray in November 2020. He said he did so in response to an attack he is claiming on the military base housing government troops there. The escalation came after months of feuding between Abiy Ahmed's government and the TPLF over reforms he was pursuing. Ethiopia is not clear what the allegations are against them. Washington has condemned in the strongest possible terms Ethiopia's unprecedented decision. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki said the U.S. will not hesitate to impose sanctions against those obstruct humanitarian assistance. Final story on the expel of the officials. An Ethiopian government has announced on Thursday the expulsion of 7 UN officials. The government accuses the diplomats of interference in the internal politicals as pressure grows on the executive to lift the blockade on the Tigray region. The move was condemned by the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres through his spokesperson. The Ethiopian government accuses humanitarian workers of supporting the Tigray People's Liberation Front. The aid workers deny the accusation. The announcement by the Ethiopian government sparked a reaction from White House. The Tigray region is home to 6 million people who has been at war with Ethiopia as its allies for almost a year. According to the UN, in recent weeks, only 10% of humanitarian supplies have been reached the area in need. We'll wrap up our story in Sudan, and a South Sudanese presidential advisor and ambassador from European countries union met and held talks over peace implementation process. Costello Garan Nari Low, an advisor to the presidency, said he has started receiving and holding meetings with foreign ambassadors and different stakeholders to begin to discuss and solicit views about how the key members of the international. He added that we are also touch bases on developmental issues, particularly things relating to health, humanitarian support, education, and physical infrastructure. Luau is the chairman of the South Sudan Patriotic Movement, one of the umbrella groups of South Sudan Opposition Alliance, the SSOA, participating in the coalition government. The presidential advisor's deputy represented the SSOA in the government as one of the 5 vice presidents stipulated in the 2018 revitalized agreement, which provides for creation of advisory positions to be filled by representatives of the parties. His groups got one slot and another was filled by a faction of the ruling Sudan People's Liberation Movement in opposition under the leadership of the first Vice President Riek Machar. This is where I draw the curtains on African News. My name is Sandra Asante. Thank you so much for watching. You should have an amazing day.